DC Comics is doing everything they can to catch up to the on-screen product that Marvel Comics has created, the big screen, and the at-home little screen over the past 10 years, and frankly, hasn't been going so well. DC has had a multitude of flops with very little success, but in today's video, we finally have the pleasure of talking about one of the best projects DC has put out in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you HBO Max's Peacemaker. Don't go anywhere because you're not going to want to miss a second of this video. Who is Peacemaker and when did we first meet him? Peacemaker, aka Christopher Smith, is a peace-loving extremist that'll go to any lengths necessary in order to achieve his ultimate goal, a world filled with peace. His means of obtaining peace are somewhat opposite to a normal person's idea of peace, but that does not stop him from cleaning up the world in his own way. Director and showrunner James Gunn described Peacemaker as the world's biggest douchebag. We think that sums him up perfectly. Peacemaker is an egotistical killer who completely ignores the law and everything that makes society civil in order to achieve his idea of peace. DC fans would remember him from his first outing in the DCEU in James Gunn's 2021 film The Suicide Squad. John Cena also played Peacemaker in the film and served as a member of Amanda Waller's Task Force X alongside other members of the Suicide Squad such as King Shark, Harley Quinn, Ratcatcher 2, and of course Bloodsport. The only killer better than Peacemaker. Peacemaker and Bloodsport end up butting heads, or should I say huge helmets, in the Suicide Squad, which eventually results in a showdown between the two professional killers. Bloodsport and Peacemaker aim their guns at each other and fire at the same time, but unfortunately for Peacemaker, Bloodsport's bullet is small enough to completely pierce and destroy Peacemaker's bullet before lodging its way into Peacemaker's chest. The film ends with Peacemaker being brought into a hospital and revived by some of Amanda Waller's medical crew, which is where we see him in the first episode of the HBO Max show. So what's next for the egotistical, peace-loving killer? What is HBO's Peacemaker about? Peacemaker picks up right where the film left off, which sees the big red toilet seat helmet-wearing buffoon Christopher Smith being revived by some of Amanda Waller's medical staff after taking a bullet to the chest from Bloodsport. But why would Amanda Waller even want Peacemaker to be revived? He did in fact murder her previous right-hand man in Rick Flag, so why wouldn't she just leave him dead? Well, with Bloodsport and the rest of Task Force X earning their freedom at the end of James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and with Rick Flag dead as we mentioned, there's really nobody else who has the muscle, skill, and drive to rid the streets of crime. To that point, Waller and Smith have a similar mindset when it comes to criminals. If you're a wrongdoer, you must be permanently dealt with, no questions asked, and no exceptions. On top of that, the super secret organization Argus has discovered a new parasitic threat in the United States that needs to be dealt with urgently. And with the experience with parasitic life forms that Peacemaker recently obtained during the events of the Suicide Squad, it seems that there's nobody better to deal with this new alien issue. The project is called Project Butterfly, mostly because the parasitic aliens that are plaguing the world happen to resemble butterflies. As of this recording, the show has released 4 episodes and they have all received glowing reviews. Why is that? What makes this show so amazing? Let's find out. Eagley and the other characters, but mostly Eagley. The show has some incredible qualities and some amazingly unique characters, but the number one reason as to why this show is succeeding is absolutely undoubtedly Eagley. Eagley is the best character on the show and he literally can't even speak. Eagley is the eagle sidekick of Peacemaker and he is lovable as he is hungry for peace. Eagley is the lovable and cute best friend of Peacemaker that keeps all of us coming back for more. Fans absolutely love Eagley for his animal charm and his lovable personality, and he alone is drawing in millions of views. It seems as though James Gunn has learned his lesson in this department before when he wrote and directed the MCU's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which included the unforgettable and lovable Baby Groot, who won the hearts of fans with his equally lovable nature. Additionally, Disney Plus's flagship TV show The Mandalorian gifted the world with Grogu, or Baby Yoda, and the success of that character meant that James Gunn was practically forced to include a lovable animal sidekick into his show. And we're still not mad about it, as Eagley is literally the best character in the show. Along with Eagley, the cast includes Leota Adebayo, the daughter of Amanda Waller, and also a member of Project Butterfly. Adebayo is played by Danielle Brooks and has so far been an amazing addition to the show. Along with Adebayo and Eagley, the show bolsters a second superhero named Adrian Chase, aka Vigilante. Vigilante is played by Freddie Stroma and is essentially Robin to Peacemaker's Batman. Vigilante looks up to Peacemaker in every way, including his violent ways. Vigilante shares Peacemaker's violent streak and is willing to murder any criminal regardless of the severity of their crime, which obviously leads to some relatively innocent people being murdered due to Vigilante's sociopathic tendencies, which leads to some hilariously dark moments during the show. There are some other characters in the show, obviously, but we already talked about Eagley, so I don't see why you'd even want to hear about the other character in the show. Who cares, right? We already talked about the Eagle. Also, we don't want to spoil too much of this show. Please go watch the show on HBO Max if you can. What makes the show so great? Peacemaker has done something that the DCEU has failed to do for pretty much its entire run. It'd be fun to watch. Peacemaker has done an incredible job of being hilariously fun and intensely gripping at the same time. From start to finish, each episode is an absolute hit and has so far been a pleasure to watch. For example, the opening credit scene is something straight out of a DCEU fan's acid trip, and it's impossible not to love. It sees the main cast come together in a fantastically fun dance number, which somehow finds a way to both out of place while also setting the tone of the show. It's honestly one of the best things the DCEU has ever done, which is rather embarrassing considering that the DCEU has multiple full-length films under their belt. If you've seen any of those films, you probably know what I'm talking about. Following the credits, the show continues to cash in on its wacky and weird cast of characters while having very real and depressing undertones that deal with Peacemaker's past trauma with his father and his past pursuit of peace. Peacemaker is constantly haunted by his upbringing that has made him into the man he is today. On top of that, Peacemaker is constantly reminded of his actions in the Suicide Squad. Thanks to the final words of Rick Flag, a Peacemaker was killing Rick Flag. Flag uttered the words, "Peacemaker, what a joke." These words constantly run through Peacemaker's mind as he questions his methods in the pursuit of world peace. Is he really helping the world, or is he merely disregarding his crimes because in his mind, the end justifies the means? It is a fantastically thin line that the show teeters on, but finds a way to do it perfectly. James Gunn directs 5 of the episodes and is the series showrunner, and it's because of him that the show is able to do what it does. Gunn was asked to do the show after he directed the film, and he signed on shortly after he saw John Cena as Peacemaker in Suicide Squad. The series was filmed in Vancouver, Canada from January to July of 2021, on its way onto HBO Max on January 13th, and will run until mid-February, releasing an episode weekly. If you've yet to see either the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker, get on it right now. You won't regret it. James Gunn and Eagley are literally the best thing to happen to televisions since Jon Favreau and Grogu. And I'm here for it, and I hope you are too. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have you seen Peacemaker yet? What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel with the bell rung to ensure you don't miss a single video on the channel. Thank you all once again. We'll see you all in the next video.